So I did want to actually tell you, haven't changed out of my pajamas the entire day. Not that you can see that, but did 2 Zoom calls today, full on pajama pants and sandals. So I'm getting on your wave.
It's the way to do it.
I'm usually like, I don't know. It's usually not that bad. What's that called? Quarter casual, half casual, or half. It's like
I'm trying to get this live on Instagram right now.
it's not up. I got it pulled up here. I'll let you know if it's.
Yeah, it's not.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, no, it's not going because I already started the live.
Whatever.
And I was supposed to plug it in before, but I didn't. So, whoops.
It's all good. Let's take that story down.
Yeah. So.
Twitter and YouTube are getting the home field advantage tonight.
Yes, sir. Sorry, what were you saying about the pajamas?
No, I'm full on sandals and pajama pants today, which is usually not like me. I usually don't go that. I said I took 2 Zoom calls with just.
Did you wear like a nice shirt or just a regular shirt?
No, it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't the level of the shirt is predicated by the importance of the Zoom call.
Yeah, exactly.
So it wasn't anything crazy. So it didn't really bother. But I don't know. I just felt weird. I felt like they were gonna know. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter.
Well, I'm the guy to be wearing like pajamas going into an in-person meeting. So
yeah, I had one like a while ago. It was quite a while ago. I don't think I even told you about it. Where I didn't expect to like be going there. It was like a local place, and I just was on the way back from somewhere, and I stopped by, and I had like super ripped jeans on, and just like not like I was trying to like almost we were sitting down, and I was trying to almost hide what I was wearing, but I don't know. I think that's become obviously you want to be professional, but I feel like that's become less important in years, like the work attire. I think COVID really like the work from home mentality. Everyone got a lot more casual. Like we're not wearing suits to jobs anymore for the most part.
yeah. Well, for me, one of the biggest things was I hated wearing like clothes that I'm not like totally comfortable in. And like, when I first became an entrepreneur, like that was like one of the things that I just really wanted. I didn't want to get dressed up to go into work every day. I just wanted to wear, which is what I do. I wear in the wintertime, I have 2 attires, one in the summer, one in the winter. Summer is sandals, shorts, and a t-shirt. Winter is sweatshirt, sweatpants, and I milk those sandals as long as I can until my feet are cold.
Then you got to go with the socks with the sand. I mean, I kind of picked up the sandals from you a little bit, but I feel like because I don't know.
Well, we've been in the warehouse so much, it's like it's not meeting the OSHA requirements. I feel like something's going to happen, and
yeah,
I almost stubbed my toe on a pallet a couple times. So
yeah, I've gotten caught on the pallet jack a few times.
You got your toe caught on the pallet jack?
I've hit my knee on it. I've hit my knee on the pallet jack a few times, but I don't know. I that is like a small thing that I feel like is attractive to someone that's worked in the corporate world, where you're transitioning out of a job and it's like, oh, I technically don't have to wake up at a certain time, and I technically don't have to wear anything, that I don't want to. I mean, yeah, I find it funnier how like I feel like I don't dress like crazy out of the norm, but I'll just have like jeans on. You're like, oh my god, how is it possible that
Like,
you're
how?
wearing that? Like, you're so extreme.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, how? Because I can't even wrap my head around it. Like, I'll see you in, like,
Yeah.
jeans and, like, not even that a nice fit, like, a fairly nice shirt, and, like, I can't wrap my head around wearing that when I don't have to.
Can does not compute. I mean, I just like clothes and fashion, and like I like that stuff. So it's partially like, I don't know, it's like an expression thing. It's not like I need to do this. But yeah, I don't know. It's your brain can't comprehend.
I wear clothes for,
You're so
for comfort.
functional.
I
Yeah,
wear
you're like,
clothes for comfort. I eat for purpose.
yeah,
You know, it's like
Alex Hormozy over here.
basic things.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah, if anybody's joining in on the live, we go live every single Wednesday. We answer all your Amazon questions. We talk a ton of game about selling on Amazon. Q4 is in full swing. We do supplier sourcing, Wholesale Wednesday, a name we coined years ago, and call this weekly live Wholesale Wednesday. So we'll go into a lot of times, we'll go into Smart Scout. If this is your first time joining us, we'll look for suppliers that are potentially of interest. We'll identify why those suppliers are of interest and what we would potentially say to them and pitching them on the phone. And if you guys are new to these lives, there have been multiple lives where we have found very, very strong leads, where we turned off the live and looked at each other and we're like, we're going to contact them. So it's like we go into this raw, and a lot of people think, you need a lot of different things to start selling on Amazon, when in reality, couldn't be further from the truth. You need a phone to make the calls, and you need a laptop to get on Amazon, sign up for the account, and start selling. So if you guys are joining, drop your questions in. We're very happy to answer them. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, hitting the like button definitely helps out the videos. But we'll answer questions as they come in. And, right now it's just like, I mean, Q4 is just insane right now.
Now, I mean, it's October 23rd right now, and your goal from October 1st to the end of October to really even the middle of November, I would say. Well, technically, if you want to, get real technical with it, till December 1st, which is the cutoff date. But you want products to be able to sell throughout December. So basically, till the second week of November, your goal is to get as much product as you possibly can, as humanly possible, into Amazon. And with that comes managing your cash flow. It comes securing the accounts from January through September that are going to provide you with the product to have in October, November, and December. So it's preparation, it's cash flow, and then now is like, how much stuff can we get out the door?
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people don't realize how critical of a month October is. October is the month that we're crushed. And then, I mean, November is busy too, at least the first half. But then, like, December, aside from your merchant fulfillment, like, you're pretty much riding on cruise control. You know what I mean? Like, because everything's already at Amazon, the sales are rolling in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Question here says, what's the profit margin usually from wholesale? You give pretty average numbers. I mean, it depends on the size of the business too, but.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking generally at about 15% gross margin. So you want to shoot for about a 15% gross margin on the business. And then from there, it'll break down. Your net margin will break down from there based on your overhead expenses and whatnot. 5% might be standard for a, growing business with overhead. So, maybe you're looking at 10% net profit margin. But again, varies based on the business, the size of the business, reinvestment into different things. So it's, but on a gross margin level,
15 is pretty standard. I mean, wholesale is a volume game in the companies you contact, in the products you sell, and the amount of units you sell. Like, it's a volume game all around. So if you're an arbitrage seller and then you're transitioning into wholesale, you might say, well, 15%, but it's made up for by replenishables and by volume. And if you're watching this and you have no idea what a margin is, it's different than your return on your investments. Your return on your investment is, how much you're paying for the product. Your profit margin is how much you're making divided by your total sales price. So if you're selling, if you make $5 and you sell the product for, you know, or I'm sorry, yeah, you make $5 and you sell the product for $35, then it's 5 divided by 35, and that's your profit margin.
Yeah, and I think with wholesale, the biggest thing, anybody transitioning from arbitrage to wholesale, like you said, it's replenishables, but it's also a ton of cash flow management. And I think that's, the biggest part of the business. Obviously, in any inventory-based business, cash flow management is key. But I think to being extremely keen and tight as a whip with your cash flow in wholesale is even more important. Is even more important than other business models because by nature it is lower margins. So
Yeah.
you're not going to have per sale, you're not going to be technically making as much money. So you really want to keep an inventory level of about 30 to 45 days worth of supply, because what that's going to allow for is it's going to allow you to get the capital back quickly and then reinvest it and allocate it back into the business in order to, potentially acquire new wholesale products, to reinvest and replenish your inventory. But that's what we always say is 30 to 45 day supply.
And that allows you to keep in a closer contact with the supplier as well. Like if you're buying 6 months worth of inventory at a time, your contact with the supplier, I mean, you need to, like, if you're going to contact them, you should usually have a purpose. So, keeping a consistent cash flow for them going as well is important in developing the relationship. Like with brands, would you say so?
Yeah, and believe it or not, I think a lot of people, a lot of people, they're like all hyped up on getting a big order in with the brand, and it's like, oh, great, put in a big order, and then they never hear from you in 6 months. But I'm ordering every month, and I'm having, like you said, a conversation with them every month, and they're seeing even if we're not having conversation, they're seeing our company name reorder every single month. So
Right.
that actually stands out better for them, and it's better for our cash flow. So
Exactly.
it's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. I mean, you think about it in the sense of like a sales cycle. I can't remember what the number is, but it's like you have to get that information in front of someone 7 times or something like that before you're converting to a yes. And it's kind of the same thing. It's like we always talk about emotional intelligence with all this and like staying top of mind and everything like that. And it's a way of doing that is by continuously having your name in front of them. So it's just an added thing, an added benefit to correctly managing your cash flow cycle. Is also it helps you stay in front of the supplier. And then the second thing I was going to say on that, which relating to cash flow and credit cards, is knowing your statement cycles on credit cards, knowing when that statement date ends, knowing when your new statement begins. You can, it's a life hack for putting money on credit cards because you're essentially getting another 30 days just by charging one day versus the next. So
Yeah, it's big. It's big, and you can line that up with your Amazon payouts.
yeah,
Um, and the I think the bigger element, I mean, not even the bigger element, but where you really start to scale is when you start leveraging net 30-day terms with your wholesale suppliers.
yeah, on top of
So on top of using credit cards, and I think that's where, anybody doing wholesale, that's where you're winning, because you're shifting the inventory burden to your suppliers' books, right? It's now a receivable for them and a payable for you. So your cash flow goes up, right, on that. And to have the ability um, to take to receive your inventory, and not have to pay down that invoice for 30 days or sometimes 60 or even 90. we got some suppliers that we're on 90-day terms with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we're paying the invoice with a credit card. It's like, I mean, how you could potentially turn that inventory like 6 times before you even have to pay for the first order.
Yeah. One of our brand launches right now is on 90-day net terms. So, granted, that's a little different because you're doing marketing and stuff, but it's like the hardest part about 90 and 60-day net terms is remembering to pay the invoice because it's like so far in the future that you're like, it's almost like psychologically free. You know what I mean? So that's an element of it too. Like you have to remember that it's not free inventory because that can be kind of, because then you have the tendency to like leverage even more because you're like, oh, I don't have to pay for this right now. So the more, so it's all about a balance and responsibly like cash flow management.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a couple seasonal products that are like a 90-day term type deal, So it's like we buy in October, we don't have to pay until after Christmas. It's huge. And I think that's one of the biggest things that that separates successful wholesale sellers from non-successful wholesale sellers is the ability to manage cash.
I was going to say for someone that's new to doing that, and like they might say, well, how do I acquire an account that I can? I mean, 90 is very like extreme, but how do I acquire an account that's going to get me net 30 or net 60-day terms, or even net 90?
Yeah, I mean, first thing you're looking at is net 30-day terms. Like, if you don't have any open term accounts, you're not getting 60 or 90. First thing is you want to be getting 30 terms.
Yeah.
Net 30-day terms, and that's where they invoice you. You don't have to pay the invoice for 30 days. How do you get that? Well, on the first go around, if it's your very first, never gotten an open account before, you're only a prepay, which means you're either prepaying with a credit card or an ACH wire. That's probably how you start. You start as a prepay. You start by paying for all your orders, credit card and ACH. And then after working with them for a couple months, 2-3 months, and making consistent payments to them every single month, they see a history with you. And then it doesn't hurt to ask, say, hey, would you be open to, would we be able to open, do you offer net 30-day terms is all. Now many suppliers will, but there are some that no matter who you are, don't offer that, and rightfully so. Some businesses want to get their money first before shipping out the product. So there are some accounts that you can't do that at all with, but the ones that you can, doesn't hurt to ask, do you offer that? And then from there, it's like this snowball effect that starts to unwind, because when you get an account with one, you can take them and use them as a credit reference for another, and then another, and then you just keep accumulating this. We have 6 figures worth of open term accounts with these suppliers, inventory, none of which is or all of which is a payable for us. Our cash goes up, so it's big stuff. It helps the business a lot.
Yeah. It's all an inventory projection and like anything you can do. I mean, you can either sell your inventory faster or you can pay slower, right? And selling your inventory faster often means selling it unprofitably. But one of the things that, you have to keep in mind just with Amazon in general is like, yes, you can do daily payouts if you want, but the reality of it is, especially in a wholesale model, again, kind of switching from arbitrage to wholesale, it's like you would go to arbitrage, do arbitrage at a store or do OA, and you might have a 4-day shipment time or something like that. Sometimes if we're shipping pallets, or you get it right from the store and it's immediate, if we're shipping pallets, like you could have a week from your supplier, then you have a day or 2 to prep, then you have if it goes out on LTL, that could be another 3 weeks to get to Amazon. If it's SPD, you figure another week to get to Amazon. But I mean, you're already at 3 weeks practically, and if you got a pallet, you're already at over a month. And so now if you've prepaid the inventory and you've put it on a 30-day credit card, now you've already elapsed that time and the inventory is just getting to Amazon, or it's gotten to Amazon like a week ago. and now you have to sell through it. Even if you sell it immediately, you have a 2-week payout window. And so it's like, utilizing all these things to like, everything is not working in your favor the way Amazon has laid out their payments. So doing anything you can to counteract that, and get that cash flow back in your pocket quicker is just like, it's going to help scale your business so much faster. So because you're not waiting on it's like a hurry up and wait model with Amazon with their payments.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. And the thing is, it's like, I don't think people should do daily payout. I don't,
Yeah.
For wholesale, I don't think that's the way to go. I mean, recently we switched to doing like, traditionally we were just waiting the 2 weeks, but we switched to a just requesting once a week now. Not even to use that cash from Amazon, but I would rather have the cash sitting in my bank than Amazon's bank, if it can, right? So it's not like, so we'll take that cash and we'll just leave it in our bank, but still wait the 2-week cycle to pay our suppliers, to restock our inventory. But if there's 100 grand sitting at Amazon, well, we all know anything can happen. Why
Right.
even keep that sitting there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of risk mitigation to that, so in that sense, like, people that are taking, because we've never really taken daily payouts, but people that are doing that, in a sense, they are mitigating risk to an extent, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, from a lot of people's standpoint, I think that it doesn't even matter. Like, if you're taking daily payouts, like, those payouts are so small. It's like, if you got, like,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
100,000 in debt, what's $2,000 gonna do if they shut you down? It's like,
Yeah.
whatever you got in debt. But it's a balance. It is what it is. The other thing, I think, while we're on this topic, which we're actually, giving some real good information here. Anybody watching, you guys have any questions, drop them here in the chat. We're more than happy to answer them. But like, the credit card game is huge in this business, and obviously not just from a leverage standpoint with being able to manage your cash better, but from points and rewards and travel and all of that. So a lot of people just starting, might not know where to start. Like, I started with a $2,000 limit on the Discover card.
Yeah.
Just slowly accumulated that over and over again.
Me too. I think mine was 2,000. What was your like history with credit? Like, when we were doing arbitrage separately, what was your utilization of credit? Like, I don't think we've ever talked about this, like, because I know mine was kind of a very unique, like, situation, and you're probably gonna laugh at me, but like, were you racking up money on credit cards during arbitrage days? I don't even know that.
I've always used credit cards from day one.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much always, I injected a certain amount of cash into the business, out of my own personal money, but in the very beginning. But after the Discover card, I got the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then I just made my way through the Chase credit cards, which is what I would recommend for a beginner, because Chase does have a rule called 5 under 24, and for point maximization, with 5 under 24, you can only open with Chase 5 different credit cards within a 24-month period. So, you're better off maximizing that by getting all 5 of those with Chase, because the welcome bonuses are insane. The inks, the preferred, the whole works. And then going to like an American Express. American Express, I like from the standpoint of like the billing cycles are longer than they are with Chase. So, there's, you could pay that statement balance and you have more time to pay it down. But Chase and American Express are the 2 big hitters for welcome bonuses and racking up points for sure. And then just making your way through those credit cards and continuously turning the credit cards. And a lot of people think that getting into this business, I know I did in the beginning, I thought that having multiple credit cards was bad for your credit, but that's just a lie and a myth that society tells you. It's actually the exact opposite. So the more credit cards you have, the better it is for your credit. A lot of people don't realize that. And so I think that's a huge advantage to this business. I know. I mean, we're able to travel the world for free.
We should have an affiliate link for American Express at this point. It's like, I was going to say,
you should drop them in the chat.
Yeah, really. I was going to say, I actually, I had no credit cards. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I knew that. In the very beginning, you told me that.
I had literally nothing. It was just, I think it was more a fear-based thing, but I also feel like that's very relatable to a lot of people because, like you said, society teaches that this is bad, right? And so that little nuance of, are you investing in an asset with your credit or is it a liability? Like nobody ever talks about that. So I always thought that credit was bad and I was afraid of it. And it wasn't until much later on in business that I, obviously splurged on some credit cards. And since then it's like become a very comfortable thing with the massive amounts of debt that we have. And when you I don't know, do you ever talk to people about the debt in the business?
Not people outside of the business, because
no, I do every once in a while, and it just maybe to get that, I don't know, maybe it's to get that reaction. I don't know, but you get this like mind boggling, you say a multi six figures in debt. And again, differentiation between liability and asset and what you're investing in. So
and there's another point on that too I wanted to make, but I just want to touch on a couple of these questions here. We'll jump to Luke because we're on this topic here. Then we'll go back to Abraham. We got, do you clear your credit card accounts each time before the statement date? So this is, going to kind of be case by case. We don't clear down our cards before, we are carrying a balance on, especially like that's one of the nice parts with American Express is you can carry that balance for quite a longer period of time than some of these other credit cards. So that doesn't mean that I'm saying for you to do that necessarily. I'm just saying what we do, because we're, scaling up and reinvesting continuously into inventory and looking to grow. We're not always able to pay down those credit card debts, and we are carrying a balance. That being said, we virtually never paid a dime in credit card interest up to this point. And if so, it's been so minimal. So we're able to clear down those statement balances, and it's real nice because we're not even paying interest on the money that we're leveraging.
Right. Our credit card interest is more so like a specific scenario. So like if we are purchasing a product and an opportunity on a product, we're saying, okay, we might have to pay interest on this, we're going to calculate that basically into our buying decision.
And Abraham's asking how to find good suppliers, and we didn't really get into that too much this call, but every Wednesday, tune in because we're going live at 7:00 Eastern, and a lot of times we'll dive into Smart Scout. So at the end of the day, finding good suppliers or closing good accounts comes down to finding good suppliers. And the two primary ways we are looking to find those suppliers is through Smart Scout, through the Smart Scout program, and we will set a filter criteria of anywhere between 20,000 monthly revenue and 200,000 monthly revenue, because we're trying to target those smaller to medium-sized brands. We want to rule out those top big name brands, which is probably going to be above your $250,000 a month mark. And then we'll also set the number of FBA offers at a minimum of 2, and then we'll punch it in and go to work. We're category agnostic, so we don't sell in one specific category over another. And then we will, from there, if let's say we found a product from our list there in Smart Scout. From there, we would actually look at the listing and look at the other sellers that are selling that product, and then add those storefronts to a list to then source those stores and go through storefront stalking. And we have our VAs that'll are trained on doing storefront stalking the way we it works for us, and that's how we find really good suppliers.
Whenever you say category agnostic, it reminds me of like a religion, like Roman Catholicism. Like
We're category agnostic.
Roman Catholic? No, I'm a category agnostic. Like I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like the verbiage or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, well said. That's pretty much it. Why actually going off of that? Like, why are we category agnostic?
More
What's the reasoning
opportunity.
behind that? Yeah.
Why would we limit to, there's so many categories on Amazon. Why limit to one or two categories?
Right. There's that saying like the riches are in the niches, right? But I think when you have if it's like a private label type of deal, you're almost like developing a skill set around the category and like marketing and the keywords and everything relating to that. And so in that sense, it might make more sense to be very category specific. But what we're doing, like all of the skill sets that apply to brand direct wholesale apply, across all categories. So it's not like one category is going to benefit us more than the other. And like exactly like you said, more opportunities. So
yeah. Then another question here. So do you fit more, or do you more fit wholesale than OA? What about PL? Not sure what that exactly means, but if you're meaning like favor. So, yeah, definitely wholesale. That's 100% of our business. So
yeah.
we're wholesale sellers. We don't do arbitrage, and arbitrage, I think, is a good business model for beginners. It's good to learn the ropes of Amazon, the logistic process with a low level of risk, and a low capital barrier to entry. But I think long term, your goal should either be in wholesale or private label, because that's where the sustainability is, and the scalability as well.
And we are dabbling with private label. That's something that is potentially on it's on the horizon for various things. We've done some research, and so like we're looking more and more into it. And but yeah, definitely our favorite business models. Specifically within wholesale, there's distributors and there's brand direct, and we are probably about 95% brand direct wholesale, which means we're contacting the brands directly as opposed to going through a distributor, which is a different skill set. It really is. It's like,
yeah, I'll link my last YouTube video here, because I talked a lot about on that video how over the years wholesale has changed, and 90% of it unfortunately doesn't work. And I got this stupid term that I coined called glorified arbitrage, and that's just basically means you're doing retail or online arbitrage, or you think you're doing wholesale, but you're really doing the arbitrage game, because you're buying from generic distributors. You're not authorized to sell the brand's products on Amazon. You can't get them on a replenishable basis. There's price tanking all over the place because the competition, whereas with brands, you work your way in with a brand, like price consistency, safety, 100% authorized to sell the brands on Amazon. We'll work with you on any sort of compliance that Amazon has, sustainability, replenishable inventory consistently. The benefits go on and on. So it's like long term, I think that's the best way to do wholesale. I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't mean you can't buy through authorized distributors, but just understand that if you are buying through an authorized distributor, you're not authorized to buy the brand to sell their products on Amazon, you are still putting yourself at risk potentially of an IP claim if that brand does issue out IP claims. So just being mindful of that. But nobody's saying you can't buy from an authorized distributor. It's just understanding the dynamic of what kind of control the brand has on Amazon, and how strict they are with those sorts of things.
I saw some screenshots off of Twitter today that these are people we know. Like, these are people we know and respect and everything. And there were some account health screenshots that I was just like blown away by the intellectual property complaints, and like, I want to be able to sleep at night. Like, we have an account health bill that is zeros across the board, and it's like, and it's not because we are like a better seller than them, right? It's just because we're authorized, and so that's for me, and especially like, you're playing by Amazon's rules and you're selling on their platform. There's nothing that, I mean, how much were you and I scrutinizing the restricted policy product policies like yesterday and the day before?
I don't think people do that. I really don't think people go through their inventory with a fine-tooth comb like we do, and make sure, everything they're selling is compliant with TOS. And not only that, we're buying directly from the brands. So it's like, we have always made from day one account health that is a number one priority,
Right.
because nothing else matters without it. And I think, in seeing a lot of these screenshots, from very successful Amazon sellers, you can get away with it. But, I think that maybe if you've been doing it for a decade, and you have a very strong account, and, you're doing massive numbers, you might be able to get away with it better than somebody who's newer, and I think that somebody who's newer really needs to take the extra precautions, because you don't have the capabilities as somebody who's larger does.
Well,
So
I saw again, same thing. It was just another tweet that, and again, this is not to like shit on anybody, right? Like, if you're running your model, it is what it is. But this is more just like a word of advice and like guidance for people that are newer or starting out, or don't find themselves in this predicament yet. I don't even know who this was. It was just a random tweet that popped up, but it was something, an account health screenshot with like 30 IP complaints or something like that. And it was like, it said like, well, like, guess I'm cooked, or like, guess that's it, or like, pack it in. And I'm pretty sure that they literally just packed in Amazon. And I'm sitting there looking at that and saying, like, that was a preventable thing. Like, there's not like, you don't just receive IP complaints for no reason. You receive them because of the way you're sourcing products. And so I look at that as an opportunity cost of, you could make X amount of dollars, or you could make a substantially larger amount of dollars over a longer period of time. But you're grabbing the cash quickly, and your account health as a result is, like, there should be no one on Amazon that packs it in because of account health issues. Like, there really shouldn't. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. And I think that doing it the right way, and focusing on your account health, making that a priority, and sourcing your inventory correctly directly from brands or authorized distributors, and making sure you're authorized to sell the brand on Amazon. And if not, brands not issuing IP claims, doing all of that is going to give you slower results, especially in the beginning. Then it's very easy to go. You can go to anyone and start buying inventory and selling it on Amazon. And then you get the immediate results, and you're back to your arbitrage, where it's immediate results, right? Like wholesale, especially if you're going to do it the right way, brand direct wholesale, it's a delay of gratification, right? You might not get an account in the first month, or even the second, or the third, or even the fourth, right? But as you start to build this in, or ever, right? You never get an account.
Yeah, you might never get an account. Like, calling 300 suppliers a week. I haven't got an account.
That's if you suck, but if you're,
yeah, I mean,
anybody could get, and like, you don't have to be that good to get a brand direct wholesale account. There's a lot of brands that will give wholesale accounts to anyone, and they're profitable. You don't have to be a sales wizard to close wholesale accounts with brands. But you learn the skill and you get better at it, and you fall on your face and you do better the next time, and you keep building that up and accumulating the snowball. But brand direct wholesale is a much slower game. It's a slower burn, and the guys I think that are doing wholesale, that are doing mostly brand direct wholesale or buying through authorized distributors, are definitely going to be around for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because that's what Amazon wants. They want brands. They want more brands on their platform. They don't want fly-by-night sellers, and I think it's the way to go. That and PL.
And there was actually, one of the accounts that you might know which one I'm talking about here, but talked with the owner today, and they have probably listed on right now. There's probably about 13 to 14 competitive sellers, right? And we're taking over exclusivity for them. And sent the owner an email today and asked for, we matched up, who the sellers are. We matched them up with what their orders were. And there are only, I think, 4 sellers. And there are 15 or whatever I said, 14 seller accounts. And one of them has 4 accounts on the listing. One of them has 3. So like, you want to talk about fly by night. I was writing an email back. I was just perplexed at, like, one of them, the account got suspended, and then they asked to be authorized to sell the remaining inventory that they had on a different seller account. It's just, it never ceases to amaze me. And so you look like, why does this matter? Well, there's a reason that we're exclusively taking over the account, is because this is what they've previously been dealing with. And so if you come in as a legitimate, representative of a brand and a strategic partner, like, there's no question, if that person is concerned at all about developing their brand, they do not want, and the brand asked me what to do about this stuff, and I explained it, and I said, tell them to liquidate somewhere else, because if they're doing this, they're obviously doing other things that are against TOS, and like, do you really want your product being subjected to that? So, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and it's it's crazy. Never ceases to amaze me what the some people are doing. I was going to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say.
Probably because I rambled too much.
Yeah. So we go live every single Wednesday, 7:00 Eastern. We go on for about an hour. And if this is your first live session, join us next week, because we go in and we source wholesale suppliers. We didn't do it this week because we were getting into some good stuff about credit cards and leveraging and how to manage cash and all sorts of things. But a lot of times we'll go in Smart Scout, we'll identify a brand, why it's a target brand, and then we'll outreach to them, or we'll develop an outreach strategy to them based off of the listing.
Mm-hmm.
This is something we go in cold and do. We don't do any homework ahead of time before the live call. So you get a firsthand take of how we, make a decision on if we're going to contact a brand or not. And I think just kind of the whole theme of this call is that, make your account health a priority.
Yeah.
Because without it, I mean, Amazon goes Section 3 happy every Q4. I see this every Q4. And we dealt with a Section 3 issue with the Mexico marketplace, but we cleared it and we fixed it and we got it rectified. So Amazon will always give you a second chance. We've since that point have shut down all global sync. We don't do any sort of global sync with any marketplaces outside the US. It's simply not worth it. And anybody doing 95% of the business in the US, I would not recommend keeping global sync on. It's a terrible tool that Amazon rolled out that automatically lists your inventory in Canada and Mexico. The restricted product policy is not the same for Mexico and Canada as it is for the US. So you could have US-based inventory or US-based or inventory listed in your US account that is completely TOS compliant and completely TOS incompliant or non-compliant rather in Mexico and or Canada. So unless you're doing like 50% of your business in those marketplaces, I would probably just recommend turning it off. You know, I think that was my little rant at the end there about
Yeah.
global sync, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. I mean, that's one thing that I do love about these lives is that we just kind of roll with, like, how what we're feeling, and what we're feeling is an important topic to talk about. And so it's not going to be the same thing every single time if you tune in. It's always something a little bit different, even if it has some similarities. But, like, we've had people that have said that they've watched every single one of these, and there's a reason behind that, is because they're picking up a little bit something different every single time, which I think is super important as a brand direct seller, or just as an Amazon seller. I know I love to listen to, other content creators' content, because even if I just pick up one thing that helps me in our business, then, it was worth it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys are watching on YouTube, and you like the lives, you like the videos and content and everything, go ahead and just hit the little like button at the bottom of the video. Definitely helps out the channel for sure. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.